So today, lads, we're going to be talking a little bit about Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark. And basically, the reason why I'm going to be talking about this is purely because of I saw the stream yesterday from Venom, and I'm just going to give my opinion on it. I know, obviously, a decent chunk of it was actually just kind of reacting to a take that I made about 6 weeks ago, and I am going to be talking about what he has said in this. And basically, it's a lot of the points that I have made, and it's about why Stephanie White is a bad coach for Caitlin Clark. And I'm going to say this right now. Stephanie White has earned another year, and I'm not going to go out there and objectively say, oh, Stephanie White's an awful coach for Caitlin Clark. Like, no question about it, and there's not going to be an ability to adapt, and it's going to be an absolute disaster. But I do think there were some very fair points made in this, and I think a lot of them, again, a lot of it was some of the points that I made is that I still stand by Stephanie White likes the idea of Caitlin Clark more than she likes the player of Caitlin Clark. And this is not, I've always said this isn't like a personal level. People think everything's on a personal level. It's like you have got an extremely risk averse coach and you've got an extreme risk taker. And he brought out a point here, and I'm only just going to very, very briefly talk about this. He brought up a point, and this is something he didn't mention, is that Stephanie White talked about in the press conference. So there's a play somewhere that, like, this play right here. So basically, Dantas, she's like motioning for Dantas to cut through in this scenario here. She's motioning for Dantas just to get the fuck out of the way, or Dantas to move. So then in the end, she ends up driving here, and Dantas spots up to here, and Sabrina's kind of playing the two. And I stand by this. Like, Dantas should have cut here because it gets Lexi wide open for three. But Dantas doesn't see that. She still should have passed the ball to Dantas. Like, two wrongs don't make it right. So she ends up throwing a turnover because Dantas just decides to stand there. And that's one of the things with Caitlin is, like, it is an actual negative. We saw it at Iowa. When players are not playing at the level that she wants, when players are not at the IQ that she wants, she gets frustrated. And that was a bad turnover. But at the same time, like, this was a possession that Stephanie White, Caitlin Clark went, and she had 32, 8, and 9. And that Venom brought it up that at the end of the game, Stephanie White basically just said, oh, she just had a hot streak. And, we need to reintroduce her to Dantas because she needs to pass the ball to Dantas more. Dantas at that stage in the season was shooting 12% from three. She was shooting 12% from three. Caitlin Clark was on an all-time heater. Dantas was shooting 12% from three at that stage in the season. Like, Dantas, up until garbage time, as in they'd already made the playoffs with like two games to go, when Dantas suddenly got hot, she was shooting 16% from the three-point line. Like, I mean this, of players in the rotations on teams, she was the worst player in the league up to that point. Genuinely, she was the worst player in the entire league. That was like getting big minutes. And I don't think people realize that. But I think a major point that Venom makes, and he was making, is a point that I've made a lot. And it's basically just the way that Stephanie White speaks about Caitlin Clark. And you can see her body language on the side, like, she'll celebrate when another player does something. When Caitlin Clark hits 3 threes in a row, it's arms crossed. Like, I don't want that. And the Sue Bird interview is the most telling thing. Like, you could tell Caitlin Clark was nervous talking about it. You can tell she was trying not to say something she shouldn't. And, like, it was the same as, do you remember the interview she had when it was like, when she had just played her worst game ever as a pro against the Golden State Valkyries, when she played small forward. She played small forward and was fucking terrible because she is not very good. Like, to play Caitlin off the ball, you need to have, like, a whole bunch of super high IQ players that are going to move the ball side to side and get the ball back to her. The problem is that the Indiana Fever have a bunch of the offense stops here players. Like, let's just say hypothetically Odyssey Sims is there. You've got the offense stops here, Kelsey Mitchell. Aaliyah will pass her the ball. The offense stops here, Lexi Hull. The offense stops here, Natasha Howard. Like, how the fuck are you supposed to run this motion offense and expect the ball to go back to Caitlin Clark if you've got a whole bunch of players to shoot every time they touch it? Like, it doesn't make sense. The only people that can run a motion offense in that team, and I wouldn't even consider Caitlin being able to, like, we can talk about a hypothetical where Caitlin might be able to run a motion offense, but that's a hypothetical. That's literally, it's a hypothetical because I'm not sure she can either. But Steph White, you can tell by the way Steph White has spoken about players in the past that she doesn't like players that play the style of Caitlin Clark. And that she's clearly been trying to mold Caitlin Clark into something that she isn't. And I'm worried that, I'm not actually worried, honestly, because I think that it's just going to be, I don't think it's going to really change Caitlin Clark. But for the good of the damn sport, if Caitlin Clark goes and has a bad season, like, it's not going to be good for the sport. Like, all those record viewership gone. All of that gone. All of the growth gone. You're going to see a year where it gets lower than the year before. And all those Caitlin Clark haters are going to be, they're going to be so happy. But then you're going to see Caitlin Clark go somewhere else or a new coach and become unbelievable again. And that's the thing where it's like, Caitlin is a system. And it's like trying to tell Luka. It's like trying to put Luka in a motion offense. There's a reason why Luka was the MVP of EuroLeague. But, like, there's a reason why Luka Doncic at times in EuroLeague was getting, like, the coach wasn't the biggest fan of him. There were times when he just didn't have it. And that's one of the big things is, like, if you're a player, a heliocentric player, if you just don't have it that day, yes, you can lose your team a game. But if you do have it, you can win your team a lot of games and your team can have a lot of success. Like, anyone who said the James Harden Rockets had 10% of the talent of the Golden State Warriors and they took them to 7 games, they would have won the series if Chris Paul hadn't got injured. But at the end of the day, it's a philosophical difference in basketball opinion. And I do feel like Stephanie White is a coach. I think we'll see it next season. I think Stephanie White has done enough to get another year. Heck, she might have been a coach, like borderline a coach of the year conversation. She's a damn miracle worker. And there's no question about it that Caitlin Clark likes Stephanie White. They are, for the people, all the people saying fire Stephanie White and it's not going to be good for Caitlin. Caitlin's pissed at this. Caitlin will do whatever the fuck she can to get it to work with Stephanie White. Like, Stephanie White will remain the fever coach until it's very clear it's not working. And up to this point in time, like, it's not that, like, one of the two can adapt. And it probably needs a slight adaptation. Like, with Caitlin Clark, I just think rather than adapt her game, I just think she needs to improve. Like, I think she needs to improve going right. I think she needs to improve going left to the basket. That's 2 things she needs to get better at. She's got the floater. She was hitting a couple of post fades this year. I think from Stephanie White, she just needs to be less pragmatic. It's as simple as that. It's Pep Guardiola and Jack Grealish all over again. It's Pep and Ibrahimovic all over again. And when you have a player like Caitlin Clark, you have to allow freedom. Because if you try to put Caitlin in a box, you lose Caitlin Clark. Because Caitlin Clark is only good at being Caitlin Clark. If you try to make Caitlin Clark be Paige Bueckers or make Caitlin Clark be Sue Bird, she's not Sue Bird. She's Caitlin fucking Clark. And it's just unfortunate that at least Christy Sides was such a shit coach and she was so out of her depth that the players basically revolted against her and just coached themselves. Stephanie White's a good coach. She's a genuine good coach. But good coaches aren't always good for every single type of player and every single type of team. And I don't know if it works out long term, but we're 100% going to have another season to see. But anyway, I'll see you guys.